6 of the Mountain Valley News Pigskin Preview. I'm Monk Blevins.
I'm Will Jacobs.
And we're going to be with you here for the next hour. We're going to be talking a little high school football. We'll talk about last week's games, and then we'll talk about this week's game, man. Was another exciting week of high school football.
Oh, yeah, absolutely tough. I know 4 undefeated teams went in last week and had to play some tough opponents and were handed their first loss.
Oh, absolutely. So we're down to 2 teams in our area now undefeated. And but let's go ahead and we'll talk about that in a little while. But we're going to, first of all, let's congratulate the 5 Red Devils, the Mountain Valley News Team of the Week. Congratulations as they defeat Plainview 43-27.
Absolutely.
And then also we want to congratulate Evan McPherson as the Mountain Valley News Player of the Week. He, man, had a 55-yard field goal, had an 84-yard punt, which really is a 94-yard punt, and also had 2 onside kicks that they actually converted on. And basically he kept them in that game.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So congratulations to Evan McPherson. Just a fantastic night. Man, a lot of great players this week. We could have picked probably 4 or 5 players to be players of the week, but Evan has done a fantastic job at Fort Payne, and so we felt like he deserved it this week. So, first of all, let's go ahead and talk about last week. Again, as we said, 5 defeats Plainview 43-27. Peyton Anderson just had a phenomenal game. 181 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns, not including his 92-yard touchdown on the kick return. So, he just had a phenomenal night. And, this 5 Red Devil team, I had a chance to go back and I was looking at some pictures and looking at a little bit of video of the game from Friday night. And, one of the things that we probably have not done is give credit to that offensive line, because there was some massive holes. I had taken a couple of pictures where they were cutting up field, cutting up in the hole. All you could see was 5 players and the running back. There was no Plainview players anywhere else. They had blown them off the field. So, congratulations. I guess we need to congratulate this offensive line on just doing a fantastic job of keeping them in that game. I mean, blowing those holes and giving Anderson the opportunity to rush for 181 yards. So, talking about, Clay Cooper for Plainview had another good night. He rushed for 120 yards on the night. Chance Broyles had 86 yards of receiving on 5 catches. So, Plainview did some good things in the ball game, but 5 is just too much.
No,
just too much red, if you want to say that. Coach Paul Benefield has just done such a fine job coaching this team, and they're just solid everywhere. Got great linebacker play. Defensively, they're solid. There's really not a weakness on this football team at all. So, I know they'll be traveling, or actually the Sandrock will be traveling to 5 this week. We'll talk about that game in a little while, but, big game for them, big region game. But, big rivalry win for 5 as they defeat Plainview. Plainview has an open this week, so they get to heal some wounds, not only some probably being beat up. I know a lot of players probably got a lot of bruises and some nicks and names and all these kind of things that they need to heal up, but also mentally heal after losing their first game of the season.
Yeah, mental preparedness going into this week. I know they're off this week, but just focusing on getting that out of their mind and focusing on their homecoming next week, which is Brilliant Mountain. That'll do a lot for their confidence. Just forgetting that game.
Oh, absolutely. The next game we want to talk about, we'll talk about the Sylvania Rams. That's the other 2 undefeated teams that played, and the Crossville traveled up to Sylvania. Sylvania comes away with a win, 42-28. Blanton Jones had another outstanding game for Crossville. Actually had an opportunity to, some of the coaches were talking about Blanton and said he was by far, Coach Ledbetter, who is the defense coordinator, said he was by far the best athlete they had played all year.
That doesn't surprise me.
And so, he continues to play well for Crossville, but, they run up on a pretty good football team this week in Sylvania. Chris Shavers had 186 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns on the night. Again, Blake Spears had another good night for for Sylvania, and this Sylvania team just continues to roll.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They really showed that even though they're undefeated, they showed why they are, especially against this good cross.
Absolutely, so physical. Just strong. And when I talk about strong, a lot of times you think about their linemen and those type. But I mean, their running backs are big and strong. Their linebackers are big and strong. Their defensive backs are big and strong. The one thing Coach Putnam, he has done a fantastic job is with the weight program up there. And, you can tell these kids are really, really just bulked up, I guess is the correct word to use. So, just a big, big win for Sylvania. Sylvania plays Pisgah this week in another big region game. And, looks like you never know what's going to happen. And we can talk about this, but, Sylvania has Pisgah and Geraldine coming up in the next 2 weeks. Of course, Plainview's off this week. They have Brindley Mountain. And then we have a big showdown in 3A region play as Plainview and Sylvania, face off in possibly what could be for the region championship.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that right now, I looked in the paper the other day that in that region there are actually 2 ties. One ties for third and one is for fifth. And so if Plainview can upset Sylvania, then that could very well put a tie for first place in that region.
Oh, absolutely. I tell you what, it's going to come down to the wire, and again, just like it does every year, seems like in 3A, and so we'll see how that shakes out. A lot of games to play before then, but if you want to mark that one on your calendar, it might be a good one to mark, because that could be a big, big football game. Next we want to talk about North Sand Mountain and Ider. North Sand Mountain defeats Ider 34-28 in overtime. And man, what a great football game. Landon Green had 183 yards passing and 1 touchdown. Austin Hill had 159 yards receiving and a touchdown, and also rushed for 59 yards on the night. And then you turn around, Ider quarterback Ryan Adams, he rushed for 110 yards and 2 touchdowns and had 73 yards passing in what was just a great football game Friday night.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I actually didn't even know that one went to overtime until I had heard from a couple of people that I go to school with that went to Ider, and they went to that game and said that game was actually one of the best games that Ider has played this season so far.
I tell you, this Ider team is not a bad football team. Looking ahead, they play section this week in a big, big football game, and probably the winner of this game locks up a spot in the playoffs more than likely, and that's going to be played over at section, and that's probably one of the better games of the week, I would think. Look at North Sand Mountain. North Sand Mountain will be traveling to New Hope, and playing well, playing really well right now, and I think you'll see. Actually, they're playing at North Sand Mountain. Excuse me. New Hope is traveling to North Sand Mountain. But I think North Sand Mountain has an opportunity to get a big win this week. And, they're right there in the midst of 3A and making the playoffs. So
yeah, and that's a big region game for them right there, too. So if they can win that one, they could possibly put a 3-way tie for third, I believe it is.
Absolutely. And, you can't count out North Sand Mountain or Ider. Ider's still in 2A, still got an opportunity to make the playoffs, too. And, both teams playing well. And, again, I think, Ider section is going to be a huge game this week and go a long way in the playoffs. And, again, North Sand Mountain and New Hope, that's a big one, too. Next, we'll talk about Collinsville and Cedar Bluff. Collinsville travels, I think they traveled to Cedar Bluff, I can't remember now. But, they lose that game. No, it was actually home, wasn't it? And they lose that game 35-21. But, had a great game. Caleb Jones had 69 yards rushing. Had 69 yards passing and had 86 yards rushing on the night. Made a good comeback in that football game. Got it back to 28-21, I think, and then had a turnover, and Cedar Bluff took that one in and won the game 35-21. So, but this week, Collins will be hosting Westbrook Christian. Homecoming for Collinsville this week, and Westbrook Christian comes in struggling a little bit. They beat section a couple of weeks ago, but this is a big region game for both teams.
No, yeah, absolutely. I think that if Collinsville can get could learn from what they did last week, that they can go into this game and hopefully have a big game and get a big region win.
Oh, absolutely. Looking at the Collinsville Panthers again as they play Westbrook, if Caleb Jones has another good night, they got the opportunity to win in this football game, and the winner of this game probably has a good shot making the playoffs.
Oh yeah.
So again, all these games coming up, we're midway point of the season now, and all these games that you got coming up, now is the time you're going to start seeing who gets weeded out in the playoffs and who is going to make it into the playoffs. So, again, just that's going to be a big game down at Collinsville, and also in it being homecoming, just makes it even more special. So we'll see how that shakes out, and the next game, or the next team we'll talk about was Fort Payne Wildcats. They traveled down to Etowah and, got the injury bug as they traveled down. Had 5 players, 5 starters who did not play in that football game. You talk about, Carter Penholster, who was their main cog, if you want to call it that, out for the season, or at least talking to Roger Engel, I guess on Friday night, said he would be out till probably the second round of the playoffs if they make it that far. So, huge loss.
Oh yeah, no doubt. He helped them out on both offense, defense, and even special teams. Earlier in the season, he had a couple of kickoffs run back for touchdowns.
Yeah, they lose that game 27-24 to Etowah. They're down late in that game, I think 27-10. Mm-hmm. And we've got to mention Evan McPherson, and again, what a phenomenal kicker he is. Rated the #1 kicker in the nation, and not too bad of a night. He had a 55-yard field goal. He had an 84-yard punt in the game, which really, again, was 94 yards because from where he was actually kicking. And then he was converted on 2 onside kicks for him and really kept them in that football game.
Yeah, absolutely. Without him, I don't think that the whole comeback mentality would have been there.
Oh, absolutely. So, again, congratulations to Evan McPherson. He was the Mountain Valley News Player of the Week, and just a phenomenal kid. And I mentioned this a couple of times, but they don't need to let this kid get out of the state of Alabama. I'm sure somebody in the state of Alabama, some college, could use him as their kicker. So I know right now he is committed to Mississippi State, I believe, and so but he might change his mind. You never know. We'll see how that goes. Next, we'll talk about the Geraldine Bulldogs. Geraldine homecoming on Friday night, lose to DAR 19-7. Again, David White had another good game for Geraldine, and Thomas Willoughby played well. I think White had 56 yards rushing on the night, and just a tough loss for Geraldine.
Oh yeah, absolutely. When I talk to some people, they ask me how Geraldine did. I said, well, they got beat by DAR, and they think, oh, DAR. But DAR is actually not that bad of a football team this year. They struggled a little bit over the past couple of years, but they've really improved this year, and so they showed that last week.
Oh, absolutely. They built in that program. Hadn't been playing football all that long. I think maybe this may be the 5th year they've been had a football team, and so they're getting better each year, and so. But that's a tough loss for Geraldine. Geraldine actually will be playing Brindley Mountain this week. Thank you. I couldn't find it on the sheet there. But, another that's a big region game for Geraldine, and right now I think they haven't won a region game, but most of the region games are only back.
They won Pisgah.
Okay, that's right. You're right. Pisgah. So there's, I think, setting 1 and 2 in the region, maybe.
1 and 1.
1 and 1. So, big. This is a big region game for them. This will determine, playoffs, and so a big game for Geraldine on Friday night. And we'll talk more about that in just a few minutes. Talking about Pisgah travels over to Sandrock, and Sandrock they get better every week as they defeat Pisgah 48-20 on Friday night, and Pisgah played well in the football game. Turnovers hurt them. I was reading a little bit about a couple of interceptions in the game from Wiesnant. Had a couple of interceptions, but Houston Bell ran the ball well for him. Had 113 yards rushing. He actually ran back a 78-yard touchdown on a kick return for Pisgah, and kept them in the game. But this Sandrock team right now are playing well. And they'll be actually traveling down to Fife this week, and a big region matchup there. Another great football game, and I tell you what, again, this Fife Red Devil team, they're rolling right now, and so that'll be a good football game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Sandrock is really especially over the past couple of weeks, been playing some good football, and for Pisgah, Houston Bell has really been stepping it up a lot too. I mean, over these past couple of weeks, I think last week he had almost 150 yards rushing and almost 100 receiving too. So if he can continue to play well for them, I think he can help Pisgah stay in some ball games and even get ahead and stay ahead.
Oh, absolutely. Pisgah will be hosting Sylvania this week in a big region match. And again, we've talked about Sylvania and how well they're playing, undefeated at this point of the season. And, man, what a great opportunity for the Pisgah Eagles. And you never know, catching them coming off of a big game like the Crossville game with both being undefeated. And, I know they were excited about that game. And you hope they don't have a letdown, but, Pisgah might be catching them at a good time. You never know. So, we'll see how that shakes out this week, but again, man, there's some great football games, and again, we want to congratulate the Fife Red Devils. They are the Mountain Valley News Team of the Week as they defeated Plainview 43-27, and again, that game was just it was a great football game, and all of the games. This was actually last week was one of the better weeks with football games, like you said, Ida and Northland Mountain, phenomenal football game, and so we got to take a commercial break right now, and when we come back, we're going to have a special guest come on the air with us, and we're going to talk about this week's football games, and then we'll at the end of the show, we're going to take a little time, we're going to pick the football games, and we'll see how that shakes out. So we're going to go to a commercial, and we'll be right back with you.
College is more than an education. It's a bridge to your future. Plan your future. Envision your future. Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
At First Southern State Bank in Rainsville, we excel within the walls of our bank and outside these walls too. We're actively working with area schools to improve classrooms and supporting area student athletes on fields and courts. We work and worship at most churches in the Rainsville community. We also work to enhance the lives of area seniors, thanking them for a lifetime of contributions. We're the bankers and corporate citizens at First Southern State Bank. True community banking.
Hello folks, this is Greg Anthony with Team One Chevrolet in Gadsden, Alabama, bringing you an event that other dealers say can't be done. They don't know Team One Chevrolet in Gadsden, Alabama like I do. We're racing to sell 200 new and used automobiles for the month of September during our inventory wipeout event. This event is so big, Etowah County has not seen anything like this in years. Come and be part of the biggest event ever. It is Team One Chevrolet in Gadsden, Alabama. Inventory wipeout, racing to 200. I'll see you soon.
All right, welcome back to the Pigskin Preview. And man, we've got a great guest with us today, Mr. Greg Anthony. He is the general manager of Team One Chevy and one of our great sponsors. And man, we appreciate you guys so much.
You're welcome. I'm glad to be here, and thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. And I know he is a big football fan. And
yes.
So tell us a little bit about Team One Chevy first.
Well, Team One Chevrolet has been in business for many years. It's part of a Greenway group. It used to be called Pearson Chevrolet, and it's on the east side of Gadsden. And you probably recognize me from the Ford store in Fort Payne. So I was there for 23 years, and I recently made a change. And I got an offer that I want to just kind of change venues for a little bit and do something different. So I chose to go to Gadsden, and I took over that store as general manager. And it's a great dealership. I love it, and it's really not that far to go to drive over there. And for the deals that we're offering, it's worth the drive to get over there.
Oh, absolutely. And I've seen some of the deals and some of the deals you got going on, man. And I tell you what, some great deals. If you're in the market for a new Chevrolet pickup truck or whatever,
exactly.
This man right here is the man you need to go and see.
Well, thank you.
Well, Greg, let's talk a little high school football.
I'm ready. All
right,
it's time of the year.
It is that time of year, man, and there is nothing like it. And I know you're excited about your Fife Red Devils.
I am. Yes, sir.
And Peyton Anderson was the player of the week last week and just had a phenomenal game against Plainview this week. And the only reason we didn't pick him this week was we just hated to give it to him back to back. But I promise you, he was well deserving to be the player of the week again, as he, rushed for 181 yards, had 3 touchdowns, had a 92-yard kickoff return, and just
and an interception.
I'm telling you, man, he is a great athlete.
He is. And listen, not only is he a great athlete, he's a great kid. Listen, he makes good grades. He don't cause any trouble. He stays out of trouble, and he's just all around good person, and he's a role model for a lot of people. And listen, I'm glad that he's my stepson, and I'm glad that of everything he does, I'm very proud of him.
Oh, absolutely. I know you are. And, and again, it's exciting seeing what Fife is doing right now, sitting at 5-0 and, looking very good at this point of the season. Well, let's go ahead and talk about this week's games. The first one we've got to look at, we're going to have Boaz will be traveling up to Crossville. Crossville comes in after losing their first game of the season against Sylvania last week. But I tell you, the Sylvania is a good football team, so Crossville doesn't have anything to be ashamed of. But I tell you, this Crossville team, and we've talked a lot about them this year, but man, they have made a turnaround. Coach Hope Holcomb has done a fantastic job with that Crossville team.
Yeah, they have. And listen, Crossville for the last couple of years has struggled, and they've been building that program. And I'm glad to see Crossville is up and running and doing well. And they put it together. They were a small school, but with the attendance that they had, they were competing up against the big boys. And for them to turn this program around and doing what they've done, hey, I think they're going to surprise you this year. I really do.
Well, I think you're exactly right. I think they've got a great opportunity this week in this game to move to 4-1, on the season. And man, probably if we'd been sitting here the first of the year saying that Crossville would be 4-1, people think, but Coach Miles Hawkman has done a super job, and those kids have bought into his program. And I'll tell you, talk a little bit about Blanton Jones at quarterback, and one of the best athletes I have seen around, other than maybe Peyton. And I'll tell you what, Peyton's a great athlete, but this Blanton Jones has done well at Crossville. Switched from receiver to quarterback this year, and has just done a great job.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I can remember years and years ago where Crossville was always in contention, and when I think it was Mike Bobo maybe was the coach.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
And, they were just dominating them for that program to go away, but it changed, up now to a bigger school, and, to see what they've done now, again, is a big turnaround. But I think Crossville takes it this week.
Yeah, I tell you what, I think you're right, and Will, what's your thoughts on this Crossville?
Well, I agree with both of you. Blanton is probably one of the better athletes I've seen around, especially in Cobb County, and I know that Coach Holcomb has done a whole lot with that program, but he's also gotten his quarterback from last year, who's Gavin Pointer, to come back and work with Blanton a whole lot this year. And so I think that's really helped Blanton in his mind and with fundamentals of being a quarterback. I think that's helped him out a lot.
Oh, I think you're exactly right. Gavin Porter was a great quarterback for him last year, and you could see this Crossville team, things turning around for them last year as they, toward the middle of the season onward, they started winning games, and they really started buying in. So, that's going to be a great football game, and we'll come back in a minute. We're going to pick all of these. The next game we want to talk about, Geraldine travels up to Brindley Mountain this week, and come in after a loss to DAR on homecoming. But big region game, and they're not out of this region making the playoffs right now. So be a big game for them this week. And again, David White and Thomas Willoughby have done a fantastic job, and a lot of others. But just got a great opportunity this week to get back on the winning column. So what you guys think about this game?
Well, listen, I watched Geraldine play Fife, and it's Geraldine has got a good ball team. I mean, they really, really do. And listen, they have the fans behind them. That's one good thing about Geraldine is they have the fan backing. And when you got the fans playing, even though they're playing at home, you can count on Brindley Mountain. You can count on Geraldine fans being there and filling the stands. And they're behind this football team. So, Geraldine's going to give them a good run for the money.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. Coach Walter, he's got a lot of people that buy into his program a lot here lately. And he's got a lot of the players coming in, bought into it, too. With me, Gragsville last year, there was a lot of seniors on that team that left, but it seems like they haven't let that affect them too much, and they're struggling a little bit in the beginning of the season, but I think this Brindley Mountain game is going to be a good game for them to focus on them a little bit.
Absolutely. I think you're exactly right. You talk about Coach Waldup, and of course, he played under Coach Benefield, and you can tell, it's amazing when you go to these football games, and even if you didn't know these coaches, when you see how those kids play, you'll know he played for Coach Benefield.
Oh, absolutely.
I tell you what, Coach Benefield has been he's had a lot of influence on a lot of coaches in that area. So.
Yes.
But Coach Waldup has done a great job down there, and took over for Coach Arnold. I went blank there for a minute. And Tim Arnold is still actually helping with that program. But this Geraldine team is very talented, and I think they get back on the winning track this week. But we'll see how that goes. Next we've got Ider traveling to Section. Again, Ider was in just a shootout last week with North Sand Mountain. North Sand Mountain wins that thing in overtime, 34-28, and this week they travel over to Section, and man, Section is a much improved football team.
I agree with you. Section has really turned their program around over the last couple of years, and there's nobody just right there around Section. Like here, we have so many schools. It's just back to back. Well, Section's kind of out there on their own, and for them to build the program they've done is really good. But again, Ider, like you say, last week was head-to-head. That was a ball game. I mean, that was, if I listen to the stats and the scores, they had a head-to-head ball game. This is going to be a good game this week.
I really think this may be one of the better football games of the week right here, as Ider travels to Section, and again, Coach Powell's done a fantastic job over at Section getting this team ready to play this year. And so, what's your thoughts?
Well, I'm kind of anxious to see how Section's defense is going to stop this Ider's run game, because a lot of the teams that Section has played, they've been passing the ball more, and that's what's led to Section's defense getting all those interceptions, especially at the beginning of the season. But I think that they're going to have to focus on stopping Ider's run game this week, because Ider really has a good running game going for them with Higdon and Townsend and a couple other guys like that, and they're not afraid to throw it either. They'll just, when you think that they're about to run it again, they'll run a play action or something and throw it to the other Townsend boy. And so I think that Section is really going to have to get pressure in the backfield and get some hits on the running backs.
Absolutely. I think this will be a test for Section's defense. Like I said, I think they've played they've got a really good pass defense, but they're going to face an Ider team who loves to run the football.
Right.
And they're going to try to just pound it down their throat. So it'll be a phenomenal game. Next, we got Sylvania, and they'll be traveling up to Pisgah. The Sylvania team, and Coach Putnam has done a fantastic job with this football team, setting it 6-0, 5-0, 5-0, I guess, on the season. And as they travel up to Pisgah this week, again, big win over Crossville last week, and, very talented football team. Chris Shavers has played well all year for them. Got super linebackers, the Griffith kid who came back after being injured last year, and not only is he he's a great linebacker, but he's a vocal leader on that football team, and so it's going to be a great football game. So what's y'all's thoughts on this game?
Well, Matt Putnam has turned his team again. I know we keep talking about a lot of teams turning around, but now he has these kids bought into this program, and they are really looking into this, and they have probably one of the best defenses of anybody in DeKalb County.
Absolutely.
And listen, they have worked hard, and they are dedicated, and him and his whole entire coaching staff has done a great job with Sylvania. Pisgah, I don't know enough about to talk about them, but I know that's going to be, Sylvania is looking out. I can't remember a time in a very, very long time that Sylvania was 5-0.
Yeah.
And so, listen, their morale is up, and their confidence level is really, really high, and it's going to be hard to shut down Sylvania.
Yeah. I dare say, probably, and I meant to look this up, but probably Sylvania probably hasn't been 5-0 since Paul Benefield was there.
That's correct.
That's just a guess on my part, and if somebody knows the answer to that question, they can let us know. But I think that you may be right. I think it may have been when Coach Benefield was at Sylvania last time they were at 5-0.
Yeah. I think that Pisgah's going to have to make smart decisions on the offense side of the ball. I mean, because the Sylvania defense has shown that if you throw it, they can go up and get it and take it all the way back into the end zone for a touchdown, and then they'll force you to punt the next possession and quickly get the offense the ball back. So I think that Pisgah's really going to have to focus on offense this week and making smart decisions and being able to hold on to the ball and not turn it over.
Absolutely, and I know that hurt them in the Sandrock game, turnovers for Pisgah. And so if they can hang on to the football and they got this thing at home, and again, catching Sylvania coming off of a big game last week, and you never know how that affects kids.
That's right.
And so we'll see how that shakes out. But that's going to be another great game. Next we have Westbrook Christian traveling to Collinsville for homecoming. Collinsville comes in after being defeated by Cedar Bluff last week, 35-21. But I tell you what, this Collinsville team, very young, only have 3 seniors on that team. Actually have 4 seniors. One of them just the kicker, and so he don't play a whole lot. But, talking to Coach Willingham, and, got some talent on this team. And again, they're kind of like with Pisgah, they seem to turn the ball over at just very bad times in the football game. So, what's your thoughts?
Collinsville actually plays better than what their record is showing. They are the team that bad things happen to them. Like you say, they fumble at the goal line, they work hard to get there, and then all of a sudden they turn the ball over. And it's hard to. Collinsville is a young team. Last year, Collinsville, and the year before that, Collinsville was very strong.
Oh, yes.
I don't think you rule Collinsville out this year.
Oh,
I think
absolutely.
that again, bad things has happened to them, but I think that's going to turn around very, very quick for them.
Oh, yeah. I think you're exactly right. They're maturing as each week as these games go on,
Yes.
and so I think you'll see them play better.
Yeah, I think that if both McKinney and Caleb Jones can have a big game for this Collinsville Panthers, I think that you'll see them give Westbrook Christian more than what they can handle.
I think you're exactly right. The next game, and I know Greg will be excited to talk about this game. Sandrock travels up to Fife, and Fife, man, comes in after just a phenomenal win over Plainview. Sandrock, man, they just continue to. A lot of people that they're one of those teams. They're just out there. A lot of people don't think a lot about them.
Right.
You just don't. When you're talking football, Sandrock just don't come up. But Sandrock's not a bad football
Well, let me tell you, don't underestimate this team. Don't underestimate Sandrock just because they're playing Fife. And listen, Sandrock is focused on this game. I promise you, Sandrock is saying, "Hey, if we can beat Fife, we can go all the way." They are striving. They are working extra hard. They are pumped up. They're focusing. But again, Fife knows that going into this. And Fife, when they watch their films, they figure out ways to stop. They figure out the things that they need to do at the right times in the right places. They're going to have to watch their turnovers, and Fife defense just going to have to, tighten up the passing game a little bit. But that's going to be a head-knock game this week.
It is. That's going to be, again, that's another one of the better football games
Yes.
around the area. And again, if you guys are not going to a football game or just sitting home and want to pick a football game, I'll tell you what, there's a lot of football games to go to.
And I think there'll be a huge, huge crowd with Plainview being off this week.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of people's going to come and watch this game because it's going to be the game of the week.
I think you're exactly right.
I think if both Peyton and Seth Middlefield can have a big game for 4 or 5, I think that they'll take care of this Sandrock team. And Sandrock's offense has gotten a whole lot better. I mean, I know that they like to pass the ball, and then I know we've said this before, and just when you creep in a little bit, they'll burn you right away. So I think if Fife's defensive backs can stay at home, that they can take care of the Sandrock team.
Yeah, it's going to be a great football game. I know that.
Yep.
Our next game, we have Cedar Bluff traveling up to Valley Head. Valley Head had to open this week, and so has had the opportunity for 2 weeks of practice to work on fundamentals and also work on this Cedar Bluff team. So, what's your thoughts on Valley Head?
Well, with it being a bye week, they're not going to be sore, and they've worked really, really hard. I don't think you've got many injuries at all with Valley Head coming in, and Valley Head knows what they're facing with Cedar Bluff. That's going to be a good game, and it is a home game for them, but them being off this past week is going to help them more than anything.
Absolutely.
I agree with that. I think that them having off last week off, it'll give them a chance, because a lot of those kids have to play both sides of the ball, so I think that gave them a good opportunity to get some of those guys in better shape to where playing both sides of the ball just is natural for them.
No, I think you're exactly right. Going to be a great football game up at Valley Head, and I know they're excited about that, and opportunity. You talk about Valley Head, and they've had a couple of tough losses, but they're not out of this playoff picture.
It's still early.
It's still early, and a couple of wins here, and they're right back in the picture in the playoffs. So we'll see how that shakes. The next game, Fort Payne will be traveling over to Brewer, and I'll tell you, this Fort Payne Wildcat team, man, started out hot, just playing well. Run into a tough Coleman team a couple of weeks ago, and lost that game just at the end of the football game. But then last week had to travel down to Etowah, and when you talk about Etowah, they're ranked number 10 in 6A.
Yeah.
And so, but Fort Payne gave them all they wanted. That game was 27-24. And again, Evan McPherson kind of kept them in that football game. So what y'all's thoughts as Fort Payne travels to Brooklyn?
Coach Paul Ellis, I played football with Coach, and he and I played all through high school together and went to school together. He is a great athlete and a great person, and listen, these kids respect him, and he has got a game plan for this week. And again, it's just like we were talking a while ago with Collinsville. It's the little things that you turn the ball over at the time that you shouldn't. And that's the only thing I think that's hurting Fort Payne is, it's the little small things.
Yeah.
The fundamentals is great, and their attitude is good, and they've got a really, really good team. Last year, not so good. This year, they focused, and they're bought in and said, hey, we can't bounce back. It's still early in the year. Don't rule Fort Payne out.
And you're exactly right.
I agree with you. I think that McPherson really stepped it up last week, and even though Penholster was out, I think he has shown this Fort Payne team that they still have a chance to win a lot of football games because of him. I mean, not him solely. I mean, there's other guys up there like J. Paul Ellis, I think is his name, and
Jay
Tyler,
yeah.
But I think that having McPherson showing what he did last week, that's going to really help their mentality a lot, saying that they can still win football games even though one of their best players is not with them.
Oh, I think you're exactly right. And, again, Greg, going to school with Paul, but he is just a fantastic coach and a fantastic guy. Great guy. And, has done a great job at Fort Payne. I mean, like I said, struggled a little bit last year, but, man, they have come back out this year and bought back into this thing and played well and, boy, I tell you what, these injury bugs, you lose 5 starters in a week and you look at it, 5 starters out, and they lose to Etowah 27-24.
Top 10 team in 6A.
Absolutely, yeah. Had an opportunity actually to tie this game or win it, and so, I think they got a big opportunity this week as they travel to Brewer to get back in a win, and and this is a region game for them. So, again, a lot of these teams that we've talked about, they are still in their regions right now. I don't think we count anybody out at this point, really. And, still a lot of football to go.
Sure.
And so we're excited. We love football. We'll talk a little bit about these 3 college games, and then we're going to take a break in just about 5 minutes, and we're going to come back, and we're going to pick them and see what happens then. But let's talk a little bit about Ole Miss. We'll be traveling down to Auburn this week. Ole Miss, man, I tell you what, they run into a hornet's nest down in Tuscaloosa this last week. And I don't know, I'm not sure what Coach Saban has done, but he's kind of turned them loose on offense, let them run the score up just a little bit.
Yeah, well, listen, Ole Miss, I don't think they're going to be playing as scared this week as they were, last week. But you can't. When you look at Ole Miss, no, they didn't play Alabama good. No, by no means did they. But who does?
Right.
So you can't really base that
it's hard
game.
to base it.
Yeah, you can't do that. But now listen, Auburn's got a good ball team. And
Absolutely.
I think that they're going to give Ole Miss more than they want this week.
I tell you what, Auburn defensively probably as good as anybody in the SEC right now, and offensively, man, they're coming around. They put up 49 points on Mississippi State. I went blank there for a minute last week, and a lot of people and some of us sitting at this table thought Mississippi State might win that game. Boy, was I wrong.
Stidham really showed up and showed what he was there to do and what he's made of last week. And probably one of the big games that a lot of people have been waiting on him to have, and just happened to have it last week. So that really I think that's really got his confidence up a whole lot because he came out and showed what he's made of.
Yeah, and notice, Auburn made a couple of changes on their offensive line 2 weeks ago. And boy, since that time, they have really, really stepped it up and offensively and started playing well. Of course, they've got 2 of their running backs back, Johnson and I'm going blank. But both of them are healthy now, and So that helps a whole lot too.
Oh, yeah.
So that's going to be a great football game down at Auburn. Next we have Alabama. We'll be traveling out to Texas A&M, and Texas A&M. Most people, I guess, right now when they think about Texas A&M, they think about the LSU game or UCLA game at the first of the year when they had a huge lead and lost that football game. But this Texas A&M team is playing better right now.
Well, I think Alabama needs this game. I think they need to play somebody like Texas A&M, and not taking away from anybody that they've played by no means. But I think that this will be a good test for us. I think that we're going to get to really shine this week and see what the defense is actually made of, because Texas A&M is a good ball club.
Absolutely.
And listen, the record may not show that, but when you watch them play, Alabama needs to play a team like this.
Oh yeah. Texas A&M's got a great running back, the Kirk kid.
Yes.
And I've listened to a little bit of their game on Saturday, and he ran a kickoff back for a touchdown, and he caught a pass and broke a big play for a touchdown. And so he's one of those kids that can win a football game for you. So it's going to be a test for Alabama. I think if a lot of people, I've heard this week said, well, how many points do you think Alabama's going to put on Texas A&M because they've scored so many in the last 2 weeks? But I wouldn't count on those 60 3-game.
Ain't gonna happen this week.
No, I don't think it is.
Well, I agree with both of you. And Texas A&M has played a lot better football since week 1, and they've really stepped it up. And I think that it's Alabama, but I think that they'll play Alabama a better game than what most people think they will.
I think you're probably right. In the last game we'll talk about, we got Georgia traveling up to Vandy. This Georgia team, they put a whipping on Tennessee last week, 41-0. Kirby Smart has done a great job over at Georgia building that program, getting them back to where they need to be. And for Vandy, man, what a Vandy. They've had Alabama, Florida. They got Georgia this week, and then I can't remember who they got next week. They got a 4-stretch run here of just tough football games. So what's your thoughts on this Georgia Vandy game?
If Vandy could survive Georgia, if the word could survive Georgia, then yes, they would have a bounce back from Alabama and everybody that they've had. But by looking at Vandy, the way they play, they've got a couple of awesome players. But I think Kirby Smart is going to be a stopping point for them. I don't think that Vandy can ever participate like they want to with Georgia, and Georgia stops them.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I agree with you. I saw a thing on ESPN last week where Nick Chubb joined Herschel Walker in a 100-plus yard rushing game. So I think that he's going to have another huge game for this Georgia Bulldogs team.
Yeah.
But if Vandy can find a way to stop him, that would help them out a whole lot.
Yeah, I think you're right. Georgia, the Fromm kid at quarterback, true freshman, is playing phenomenal right now. Kind of got put in because their starting quarterback got hurt, and I think it may be hard for their starting quarterback to get back in the way this kid's playing. But I think you're right. Chubb's man has come out this year and just he's running wild. Injured 2 years ago and just didn't seem to get it going again last year. I don't know. A lot of times you have an injury like he had, man, and it just messed his knee up big time. And at one point, I'm not sure they even thought he would play again. But that has to be a little scary. You come back out and you're thinking, man, I don't need to get this thing hurt again. So, but he's letting it rip this year. So I tell you what, that's going to be a great football game. Well, we're up against a break. We're going to go to a break, and when we come back, we're going to pick these football games and see how it shakes out this next week. So we'll be right back with you in just a minute.
How do you show love? With the big things? The little things? The tough things? Your everything. Show them you care. Alpha Insurance.
Are you in the market for a new or used vehicle? At Donahue Chevrolet, we have over 400 vehicles priced to move. Our new Chevrolets are employee price, plus you keep all the rebates. That means savings as high as $10,000. From the moment you walk in the door until you drive off in your new vehicle, we guarantee a sales process that puts your needs first. And don't forget, our on-site GM certified technicians are always here to ensure there are many worry-free miles in your vehicle's future. Come by Donahue Chevrolet and expect more from your local Chevy dealer.
Hello folks, this is Andy White down here at Bobby Ledbetter's Twin City in Fort Payne, Alabama. I want to invite everybody to come out to our new location. We're at 1411 Glen Boulevard, right where you turn to go on Airport Road. We've got plenty of inventory for you to choose from. I got cars, trucks, vans, sport utility vehicles of any make and model. Come down here and visit us. Let us see what we can do for you. If you got some slow credit, I've got some banks that'll take care of that. We've got great financing, got a great selection of cars. Y'all come down here and see us.
Don't take the first deal that comes along when you can do better at BobbyLedbetter.com and Twin City Used Car Sales, located at 1411 Glen Boulevard in South Fort Payne.
All right, we're back from the commercial break, and guess what, guys? It is time to pick 'em. And first game we've got on tap, we've got Boaz will be traveling to Crossville, and we're going to let Mr. Anthony, since he's our guest, we're going to let him pick first.
Well, I think Crossville being at home is going to take the Pirates. Boaz this week, again, as we discussed, Crossville is dominating, and they're on fire right now on a rebuild program, so Crossville takes this one.
I agree. I think Crossville takes it too. Boaz is struggling a little bit this year, doing a little better than last year, but Crossville has played great football.
Absolutely. I think Crossville wins this game big this week.
Yeah.
You know, I just think they're a little too much for Boaz, and you know, I know Boaz kind of in a rebuilding type situation. You know, their head coach passed away right before the season started, and you know, and that's got to affect you.
Oh, sure.
And and again, you know, but this Crossville team, I tell you, they're playing well. So I look for Crossville to have a big night on Friday night. Next, we got Geraldine traveling up to Brindley Mountain. Who you got in this one, Greg?
I'm taking the Bulldogs. Listen, Geraldine, even though they're traveling on the road, Geraldine, as we talked about a while ago, Geraldine is a good ball team. I watched them play up against Fife, and I think they're going to be too much for Brindley Mountain.
I agree with you. I think Geraldine takes this game. Brindley Mountain is struggling a little bit this year, and this is a region game for the Bulldogs. So I think that giving the Bulldogs this game lets them recover a little bit from the past couple of weeks, and so it could help them take a bigger step into region play.
I think you're exactly right. I'm going with Geraldine too. I think that they're just going to be too much for Brindley Mountain, and again, I think Coach Walter will have this team ready to go this week.
Yeah.
Next, we got Ider traveling over to Section in what I think will be a great football game. So
It's going to be a head knocker game. Listen, Ider's traveling to Section. I think Ider will take that game. It's not going to be a blowout by no means. I think it's going to come down to who makes the mistakes, but I think Ider takes this game.
I agree with you. I think I'm picking Ider too, because not only did they show that they can play with good football teams like North Central Mountain last week, but I think that their running game is going to be a bit of a task for Section to handle.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go out on a limb this week, and you know, I've known Coach Luke Powell a long time, and you know, they had the week off, get prepared for Ider. I'm going out on a limb, and I'm gonna pick the Section Lions this week in an upset, if you want to call it that. So,
It's going to be a good game.
Oh, absolutely, it's gonna be a fantastic game. Next, we got Sylvania traveling up to Pisgah.
Again, I think Coach Putman's got this team on fire, and I think Sylvania's defense is going to be more than Pisgah can handle, and I think it's a big win for Sylvania this week.
I agree. I think Shavers and Spears and even Eli Battles are all three going to have a huge game for the Sylvania Rams, and I think I'm going with Sylvania.
Yeah, I think Sylvania wins this football game big, and you know, like I said, Coach Putman, he has just done a fantastic job with this group, and I look for them to win big this week. So I'm going with Sylvania. Westbrook Christian traveling down to Collinsville. Who you got?
I'm going to take Collinsville in this game, and that's going to be another little tough game. You don't know exactly which way it's going to go. I've watched Westbrook play this year, and but Collinsville, even though it's a young team and they only have 3 or 4 seniors playing, but it's a home game for Collinsville. I'm going to stay with Collinsville.
I picked Collinsville too. I think that Caleb Jones and Mason McKinney are both going to have big games, a big game for Collinsville, and so I'm picking Collinsville.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I struggled with this game because I think Collinsville is right there, you know, on the brink of playing really good football. Westbrook Christian got some talent, you know,
Yes, they do.
some good sized kids. I've seen a little bit of them at 5 a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, they do.
And, you know, man, I've struggled with this, but I guess I'm going with Westbrook Christian this week. I hate to do that.
Write these down.
And I sure hope Collinsville disappoints me on this one.
Yeah.
Because I'd like to see Collinsville win this football.
Yep.
All right, next, and I think you're right. This is probably the game of the week. Sandrock travels out to 5. Man, I don't even have to ask you.
I was going to say, you really didn't have to talk to me about this game. Listen, I think, you know, Fife is on fire again. And, you know, Peyton Anderson is going to show out and going to score big. And I think Silas Hicks is going to do good. I think Brent Rao is going to do good. I think Benefield is going to do good quarterbacking. Listen, there's no way. It's going to be a good game, but I just don't see a way. Well, I'm never going to say there's no way. There's always a way, but I don't see Sandrock stopping Fife Red Devils, especially at a home game.
Oh, I agree with you. I think that all those guys are going to have a huge game for Fife and lead them on a victory over Sandrock.
Oh, ain't no doubt. You know, this
Going
Fife,
against us?
oh, man. This Fife football team, I'll tell you what, you know, I'll be shocked if we don't see them playing in the finals for a state championship again this year. You know, and again, I don't think we've, you know, like I said, I don't think we give Fife's offensive line near the credit, but I'll tell you what, just looking at some of the holes they were blowing against Plainview, and you know, I sure couldn't run like Peyton Anderson, but I do believe I could have run through some of those holes. They were blowing them off the field.
I go through it just slowly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's why I had to roll through.
Slowly go through those holes.
But I think Fife handles this game this
Yeah.
week. And Cedar Bluff at Valley Head. Who you got?
Cedar Bluff. I'm going to take Cedar Bluff. Valley Head, just too young of a team. They've had a rebuilding program that's just not fully rebuilt yet, so I'm going with Cedar Bluff.
I'm going with Cedar Bluff too. I think even though Valley Head did have some time to work on getting guys in better shape, I just think that Cedar Bluff's going to be too much for them.
Yeah, I'm going with Cedar Bluff too. I think talent-wise, they probably are just a little better than Valley Head at this point in the season. So I'm picking Cedar Bluff. Next, we got Fort Payne traveling over to Brewer. Who you got?
I'm going to take Fort Payne. I'm going to take Coach Ellis and Fort Payne doing the travel. They are at a must-win situation right here. They are at coming off of a loss. It was a tight game. They're probably kicking themselves in the tail and got a few regrets from Etowah. But I think Brewer, I think they're going to be ready for them, and I think Coach Ellis has got this team fired up.
I hope they prove me wrong, but I picked Brewer. I got a gut feeling about it when I sat down and picked these, and I went with my gut, and I'm picking Brewer.
Well, I'm going with Fort Payne. I tell you, you know, I respect Coach Paul Ellis, and I just think he will have them ready this week, and I think you'll see them. They'll improve, and hopefully they get some of their injured players back this week, which will help a whole lot too. But I look for Fort Payne to pull off a big win this week. And then we got New Hope traveling up to North Sand Mountain. Who you got in this one?
North Sand Mountain is a hard place to play at. It's cold and the field's rough. Fans are pretty strong up there. New Hope, not that far to travel for them, but I think North Sand Mountain takes this game.
I picked North Sand Mountain too. New Hope has been struggling this year, and North Sand Mountain had a heck of a football game last week against Otter, and they even hung in with Sylvania a couple of weeks ago.
Absolutely.
So I picked them and look for them to have a weekend.
Yeah, I'm going with North Sand Mountain. Like you said, I think New Hope, you know, they're in a rebuilding, new coach this year coming in, and so I think North Sand Mountain wins this football game, gets a big region win, and I tell you what, man, it's coming down to the wire in 2A and 3A in some of these games. So next you got Ole Miss traveling down to Auburn. Who you got?
Taking Auburn all the way.
Taking Auburn also.
You know, I've picked against Auburn the last 2 weeks maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
And they have beat me up. So guess what?
You picking them?
No, I'm going with Auburn Tigers this week. I'm picking Auburn. I think Auburn beats. I seen where Bum had written in his that he thought Auburn would win because Ole Miss was, you know, they ran so much chasing Alabama last week that they hadn't got over it. They're still tired, so we'll see how that goes. Next, we got Alabama traveling to Texas A&M.
I know Texas is a good ways for them to drive, but like I said, Alabama needs this. But Nick Saban, what more can you say? When you fight against Nick Saban, you're going to lose. Alabama takes this big game.
I'm going with Alabama too. I think that Texas A&M is not really struggling a whole lot this year. I mean, they've gotten better week by week, but I think that Alabama's going to be too much for them.
I'm picking Alabama, but I do think this game will be a little bit closer than a lot of people may think. If people are thinking it's going to be 59-3 or 66-3, it will not happen. I'm pretty sure so. But I think Alabama does win the football game. And then the last game we got Georgia traveling up to Vandy. Who you got?
I'm gonna take Georgia. Georgia is a good team, and Vandy, I think they got all they wanted with Alabama. I think they're still beat up from Alabama.
Yeah.
And I think Georgia takes this one.
I agree. I think Georgia takes this one. I'm looking for Chubb to have another big game this week, and even a quarterback for Georgia to have another big game too.
Yeah. I'm picking Georgia too. I think Vandy, like you said, I think after the Alabama game, that kind of took the wind out of it. That game. I think with Alabama, they were hyped up for that, and then when Bama got in there and did what they done, I think that may have taken just a little bit out of them. So, but I think Georgia gets a big win this week and stays undefeated, and who knows where they go from there. But, man, another great week of high school football. And, man, Greg, we appreciate you so much for coming up. And tell us again, talk to us a little bit about Team 1 Chevy right here before we go off there.
Yeah, well, listen, I want to invite all of my friends, my family, and previous customers to make the short drive down there. Listen, got over 450 vehicles sitting on the ground, new or used. So, and plus, we own 7 stores that's right here close by. And it's not just the Chevy store. We, of course, we got Nissan of Abbeville, and we also have Team 1 Toyota. It's got Nick Dukes from this area. He's there at that store. And then we've got the Chrysler store. We've got a Hyundai store. So we've got a lot of stores right there close by that we own. So even if you go to our website at ChevroletGasson.com and you don't find exactly what you're looking for, go to Team 1 Connect or Team1.com and look at all the inventory. And listen, I love to have your business. I need your trade in. And it's worth the drive. I'll make it worth the drive. Listen, every time somebody from DeKalb County goes up there, I'll make sure that they get a great deal, a fantastic deal, because it is a 30-minute drive, but I don't want to be disappointed when we get there.
Absolutely. Well, Greg, man, we appreciate you
you're
so
welcome.
much.
Thanks
Appreciate
for
what
having
you do and for being one of our sponsors, and we appreciate you being on the show today.
Yes, sir.
And man, I tell you what, again, great week of football, and I hope you have the opportunity to go out and support your team. If your team's not playing this week, man, go out to a lot of good games to pick from, and then, Saturday, man, what can you say? Great college football game, and so just another fun weekend of high school and college football, and we appreciate you guys tuning in, and we will see you back here next week.
Listen to some of Johnson's satisfied customers.
Everything exceeded our expectations. No one will ever work here other than Johnson. We give them an A+. The crew was awesome.
This is the 3rd company that installed a unit in my house and the 1st that did it right.
Don't you want to know what type of person is working at your home? All of our employees must pass a background check and are subject to random drug testing. We won't send anyone to your home that we wouldn't trust in ours.
Call Johnson Heating and Cooling today, Alabama's largest and most awarded TVA dealer.
Building your dream home is one of the great joys in life. At First Southern State Bank, we know construction and mortgage financing, putting today's low rates to work for you. As you and your family move closer to the completion of your new home, we know that your home is where memories are made and families grow stronger year after year. At First Southern State Bank in Rainsville, Scott Kirk stands ready to tailor the right construction loans to meet your needs, along with our staff of experienced loan professionals. Drop by to share your dreams with us today in Rainsville. First Southern State Bank in Rainsville, all the bank you'll ever need.